So what is your full name?
Nuhad, Kamel, Farmand.
What city and state do you live in?
Jacksonville, Florida.
When and where were you born?
That's not the right question. September 30th, 1938 in Bethlehem, Palestine.
What is your mother and father's full names?
My mother's name was Hannah Jiha, and my father's name Hanna Khayyat. And my father was a tailor.
Mm-hmm.
My mother was a housewife.
Wonderful, wonderful. What is your grandparents' full names on both sides?
My father's parents were Sophia, Jibrail, and my grandfather's name was Asad Khayyat. My mother's parents were Maryam Jiha and Maryam Ka'ik. Maryam Ka'ik. And my grandfather was Saliba Jiha.
And you already spoke about what your parents did for a living.
Yes.
Do you have any personal memories of your grandparents?
My grandparents on my father's side, not my mother's side. They died, I was really young.
Yes.
My grandfather on my mother's side, he died before I was born even. But I lived with my grandparents, my father's parents, because my father died young. And they wanted to raise me, so I was raised with them. And I loved my grandfather's stories. He used to tell us, he's from Damascus original.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to tell us stories. We sit around him and he'll sit and tell us stories. My grandmother was interested too much in politics. And she made me like her. She'll sit and read the paper every morning. And you should see how excited. She worked, by the way, for 27 years with the Germans. So she was a German lover. And when she read in the newspaper that Hitler is alive, they think Hitler is alive, she started singing and celebrating. That's how much she was with the Germans. Anyway, and she used to go at the beginning of the war. There's no electricity, nothing. She'll go to the field, refugee people living in it, in the open air, and they had a battery-run radio. We sit over there, and she'd take me with her and listen to the news every night. And that's what I enjoyed more than anything else, just listening to the news and hearing the planes, the Israeli planes over our heads.
How old were you at that time?
I was 9 years old.
So describe your home in Bethlehem. How many bedrooms?
It's a mansion of a room. It was called Jasser Castle. It's the second largest house in Bethlehem. It has 6 bedrooms, 1 big bath, big kitchen, living room, dining room, a den.
Did you share the home with other families?
My uncles and my grandparents.
And did you live in that home, or the castle, I should say, the whole time you lived in Bethlehem?
The whole time I lived there.
Yes. And what did you do for fun growing up? It sounds like you had a lot of fun with your grandparents and listening to stories.
Fun to me was cooking with my friends, getting together with my friends and cooking. And my aunt, she raised me and she was very strict. All I have to do is read and make a copy of what I read to make sure that I read the book and I understood it. And all of them English books, and she'll bring me Shakespeare and stuff like that that I didn't care about. And sewing. She makes me embroidery, like cross stitch.
Yes.
I'll do the pieces. She makes sure the back of the piece is as clean as the front of the piece.
That's not easy.
No,
That's
no.
nice.
And then she'll wash them for me, starch them, and leave them until I get married. Save them for me from the beginning until I got married.
Do you,
Every piece.
do you still have them?
I still have them.
Oh, how beautiful. Now, were you able to travel easily around Bethlehem and the
Oh,
other
yeah.
area villages at the time?
Yes,
Very
yes, yes.
And so, what is the most vivid memory of you growing up in Bethlehem? You shared beautiful thoughts, but what is the most vivid that you can remember?
Really, the most vivid that I can remember is going to the Nativity Church during Christmas. Christmas time, the people from the radio station, they used to uh, what you call it, record the midnight mass, and they were all friends of ours. They used to come to our house first. We'll have hors d'oeuvres and sweets and stuff like that, decorate the Christmas tree while singing Christmas carols, and then we all go down, and I'm always sticking my nose with the old people or young people. I'm always with them.
Oh,
Going to the midnight mass with this with snowing. It will be snowing, and we're going attending a midnight mass. My uncle, because he worked in the United Nations, he was able to get us tickets to go, because
Not everybody can
not
attend,
everybody can go. No, that's what I keep every Christmas. Every Christmas I get gloomy because I remember how it was Christmas time, going with it is snowing, and the people selling or sweets and cookies and everything in the streets in front of the church. I wish I can live that one more time.
That's a great wish to have for
Yes,
Christmas, for
yes.
sure. There must have been thousands of people at the time.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
And so it was radioed and eventually televised, I'm
Radio,
assuming?
and on the it wasn't TV then,
Yeah.
and they it's recorded and they play it next day on the radio.
Very good.
The whole mass.
Wow. So we're switching gears a little bit and we're talking about the Arab-Israeli conflict. When it began, what were some of the immediate changes that you experienced living in Bethlehem?
It began in 48. And as a matter of fact, I was on the balcony and I started cheering. I saw the planes leaving and I'm cheering. And my grandmother called me, come on in, come on in. I said, I'm cheering goodbye to the British people. I don't want them here. I'm telling them goodbye. Well, it's not British. Come on in. These are Jewish. The Jew planes, the British left and the Jewish came. My aunt was the principal of the public, it's a private school. She was the principal for the elementary part. So she was allowed to take me. It was an all-boys school. Take me with her to school. So I used to go with her in the morning to school, and then I'll come back with her. And one time she had to go to a meeting for the Girl Scout meeting, and she depended on somebody to take care of us, ride the bus, and me and my brother go to Bethlehem. We have to cross 2 settlements going to Bethlehem. And we waited, the bus didn't come, and I told the guy, let's start walking. I was in 1st grade and that guy was in 12th grade. Let's start walking. So we started walking, and I'm carrying my brother as tall as me, going, in front of the settlements. When the bus that my aunt was in came, and she screamed. She was terrified, seeing us. God saved us. Nothing happened. We crossed, and I keep thinking of that school, and I wish I can see it back. When we went, I tried to go to that area, but nothing is the same. No.
It's not the same. So how long did you live in Bethlehem during the conflict?
During the conflict, I was 11 years. I was 20.
And what did you and your family do to survive?
Okay, my uncles, my father was already dead. My uncles, they all had good jobs before the war. The time of the war, they all volunteered for the hospital. One was in charge of everything. One was in charge of getting food. He used to go to, with the ambulance, he used to go to Baghdad and get all kind of cheese and tamar, and stuff like that.
Yes.
Bring for us, for our house, and for the hospital. My aunt was helping in the clinic, and they used to come to the house, and she used to stitch them and all that, and I'm standing helping her and doing it with her.
Goodness.
I was
At your home.
At home, because they didn't. There was so many wounded, and there isn't but one hospital, and so the food was divided, ours by itself, and the rest for the hospital, and so we used to give to the refugees that are around us.
Sure.
in the yards. You'll have people living in yards in the rain,
On the street, literally.
and it was a terrible situation. One family, they came straight to my uncle because he used to work with the landscaping stuff like that, and they asked for him. They came, and while they were running away from Ain Karim, the husband got shot. The wife was pregnant, 9 months pregnant. She came, she said, please help me, to my uncle. And he took care of her, took her to the hospital. She had the baby, and she called him Akram after Dr. Akram, because he was the first baby to be born in the hospital.
So,
after the war.
So even with all the conflict, there was still a wonderful story to tell about life.
Helping.
Yes.
Whoever had a loaf of bread divided between you and your neighbor or the refugees that came.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother used to go at night, and she'll ask me to go with her because nobody can. She don't want nobody to see her. She'll take food, cans of sardine, cans of meat, stuff like that, and rice, sugar, adas. Take it and give it to that family. Just keep it, and she'll go home.
Wow.
We used to divide whatever we have between us and whoever. Everybody did that. We're not the only one that did it.
Everyone took care of everyone during the time.
We had to.
Sure.
We had to. They came with nothing. They didn't have anything. One woman was running, and she was holding her money and her gold in one arm and the baby in the other arm. And from the confusion, she threw her baby in the well and kept the gold. And she kept saying, how come he's not awake? He's not awake. And she opened to change for him. And she fainted when she saw that she has the gold, and her son, she dropped him in the well.
Oh, how sad.
It was a very, very sad situation, very sad. And we used to cover all the windows with blankets, because if the Israelis see a light, just a small light, they shoot at that house. So everything is covered. We had the lanterns.
Wow.
It was a very bad time, very bad time.
How long did you live in that area during the conflict? It was
about 11 years.
11 years, that's right. And where did you go to school?
I went, for a while, I went to the government school until the 7th grade. And then I went to a private school called Al-Ummah College. It was #1 co-educational school in the Middle East. I graduated from there.
Was that in Bethlehem?
In Bethlehem. It is now a hotel. It was Manscopus first, and not Manscopus. What you call it? Maha, I took you there. No, not you. Anyway, it's a very expensive
It's
and
prestigious
beautiful.
hotel. Still in Bethlehem, of course.
In Bethlehem, that's for Dar Jasser.
Mhm.
That's the other castle,
Mhm.
Jasser Castle. It's at the entrance of Bethlehem.
Very good. So let's talk about your marriage. When and where, see how you light up when we talk about marriage. When and where did you meet your husband?
I met my husband in May of 19, come on, Nuhad, 1990, Nuhad, go back, 1959.
And his name?
Kamel, Farmand.
And when and where, how and when did you get engaged?
We got engaged May 27th, the same year.
How did you meet?
We met through a friend of my mother. He came to tell her goodbye. He was coming back to the States. And he had asked my husband at that time, not even my fiance at that time, he had asked him if he met a girl yet or not. He said, no, if I don't find one, I'm gonna go back to America. He said, what are you asking for? He said, I want a fair complexion and blue eyes. He said, well, I have her for you. You come with me to Bethlehem. Her family live in Bethlehem. You come with me. So he brought him. He came over. I made coffee, and I served coffee. I shouldn't be talking like that. And Kamel, the minute he looked at me, looked at my figure, he said, that's the one. And then going down the stairs, he said, that's the one. I want her. And my sister, that guy had brought him for my sister. My sister was on the balcony with friends and talking and laughing and didn't pay no attention. And that guy said, I have nothing to do with that girl. Her uncles are crazy about her. They will never let her leave. Okay. The other one I can. Maybe I can, but this one here, no. Leave me out of it. So they left him out of it, and they came to family and asked for my hand. Kamel asked to see me, to go out to talk. They told him, here's the balcony. We're in the living room, sitting in the living room. Here's the balcony. You can go out there and talk to her. So we went out on the balcony, and he said, the minute I saw you, I fell in love with you. I love you. I want to tell you one thing about me. I am not rich. I play poker once in a while. I'm not a gambler, but I like to play poker. And I smoke. He was very, very honest with me, straightforward. I smoke. And I love you. I would like to marry you. Would you marry me? I didn't know what to say. I looked at him, and he said, do you love children? I said, I adore children. He said, how many you like to have? I said, 12. He said, no, 12 will be too much. Raising 12 in America is going to be very expensive. So anyway, he said, would you marry me? I said, yes. He took his jacket. I got cold. Put it on me. And when we walked in, they said, that's it. He took the jacket. So they asked for my hand. They gave him lots of trouble, haram. Lots of trouble. At that, my brother-in-law said, I'll kidnap her. You want me to do that? I'll kidnap her. My brother loves her. He get in the car. Kamel, where did you go? Wherever the car is taking me straight to Bethlehem. He'll come straight to Bethlehem every time. And anyway, it took some time.
Sure.
We got married 2 months. He was planning. First week you get engaged. This is how it is
Yes.
in Ramallah.
Yes.
First week you get engaged. Second week you get married. No, it was about 3 months,
Mhm.
and we got married after the 3 months. Thank God, and came here.
So to clarify, your husband came from America, but his family is Ramallah.
Ramallah,
Yes, and he was born in Ramallah,
Ramallah.
but was traveling to America and
Yes.
came back.
He served the army here,
Yes.
and asked special permission to have his citizenship
Certainly.
from Bennett, Charles Bennett,
Mm-hmm.
and he gave him the permission. And he told him, I have to go visit my mom, she's not doing good, and came to Bethlehem to get married, to Ramallah to get married.
Wonderful. And that's how he met you.
Yes.
And where did you go on your honeymoon?
Oh, no, this is, my kids laugh at it all the time. We went to the Dead Sea Hotel, which it was a beautiful Hilton hotel,
Mm-hmm.
right on the Dead Sea.
Mm-hmm.
They said, you didn't pick no place except the Dead Sea.
The hotel is still there, by the way.
The hotel is still there.
Yes, it is.
Beautiful hotel.
Yes.
This is where we went.
And how long were you there?
1 week.
1 week. And so when did you come to America?
We came March 1st, 1960.
Wonderful. And how many children do you have, and where do they live?
I have 4 children, 3 girls and a boy, and they all live in Jacksonville.
Wonderful. So when you immigrated to the United States, you said you came in 1960. Tell us about leaving Bethlehem and the whole Middle East. What was it like? What mode of transportation did you take to get here?
We came by plane.
And how long did it take you?
It took us forever because planes at that time, they were not that good. We left from Lebanon, from Beirut. We had to get down in Istanbul
Mm-hmm.
because of trouble with the plane. After they fixed it, we went to Zurich, and it was fixed again. Then tried back again, went, had to get down in Lisbon, had to get down in Lisboa, both Spain and Portugal,
Wow.
to work at the plane, and I was 7 months pregnant. My legs were swollen like that, and after that we flew from Spain over the Atlantic with one engine. The other one was burned, and you can see it from the window. One engine. We came, we were so tired, everybody was vomiting and all that because of the plane. And my father-in-law was in at the airport every day. He'll go wait
Waiting
for
on
us
you.
because Kamel didn't want to tell him we're coming at such and such a time, because just about a week, less than a week, there was the tragedy of your great uncle,
Yes.
father's uncle.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
the plane blew up
Mm-hmm.
in
Shannon.
Yes. Yeah,
Shannon, Ireland.
Yeah,
Yes.
and we were supposed to go through England ourselves, and we changed it to Swiss Airlines because of that accident.
Interesting.
This is the same time we came.
Yeah, because most people, the stop is usually
Shannon.
Shannon.
Shannon
usually-
Airport,
Yes.
Yes.
So you switched because of what had happened.
because of what happened. Yeah, 3 of our people died in it.
Yes. Yes. Who did you travel with? Obviously, you were with your husband, but were there any other relatives with you at the
No.
time?
No,
And
just my husband.
Where did you land in the States?
In New York.
Okay. And did you stay there, or how did you get to Jacksonville?
We stayed just the rest of the day. We rested a little bit. We went shopping.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have no maternity clothes. I wanted some maternity clothes. And then we came straight to Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
His father was living here. His aunt and her husband were living here. And his uncle and cousin, Anwar, they were all here in Jacksonville. And we rented the second floor apartment where his aunt, in her house,
Sure.
she rented us the second floor.
How old were you at the time?
I was 20.
And your husband, how old was he at the time?
25.
Yes, so you were very young. And so you said you were 7 months pregnant when you got to America. So all your children were born here.
All of them.
Describe the feeling that you had when you first landed in the United States. What was that like?
Good and sad. Good and sad. I missed my family. I was too close to my uncle. My grandfather, that I was real close to him, he had passed away. But my uncle, I was too close. I was like his daughter. I missed him a lot. And the day that I didn't receive a letter from him, I'll be crying and worried about him. And when I went to the grocery store that my husband was running, and I saw him putting the apron on, and yes ma'am and yes sir, for the customers, whether black or white, whatever it is, it killed me all the way back. My father-in-law taking me home, I was crying. He said, Ammi, why are you crying? I said, I hate to see Kamel like that. He said, this is life. This is life. He is not the only one. All of them came educated and all that, and the only way to survive, to make it, is by having a business. My father-in-law was like a father to me. He was a great, great man. Very good. I mean, he'll take me anywhere I want to. I've never, if he see me look at something, Ammi, you want it? You want me buy you that? No, Ammi, I'm not. I'm just looking. No, I don't want nothing. And Kamel's aunt, the same thing. She was very sweet, trying to make it easy on me, you know.
Sure, to accommodate. And that was my next question. How was it easy for you to assimilate into the States, the language, the culture? Tell us about that.
The language, it was very easy for me because all my education was in English and my matriculation was in English. I had London matriculation and it was no problem. As a matter of fact, I was afraid. I asked Kamel, I said, your aunt has been in the States for 30 years. How am I going to talk to her? She must be fluent in English. He said, don't worry. And when I came here and I hear her talk, I started talking like her. Anwar looked at me, he said, Nuhad, what's wrong with you? I said, what's wrong? He said, when you came, you spoke perfect English. Now you're speaking Auntie's English. I said, this is the right English, isn't it? Kamel told me they speak with a different accent. He said, no, please stick to your English, leave her English alone. She used to, and congratulations for congratulations, and congratulations and stuff like that.
Would you like some water? So where did you live in Jacksonville?
We lived in her apartment. We rented the apartment from her for 3 years. And afterwards, we bought a house in Murray Hill.
Oh, very nice, yes.
And lived there 16 years. After that, we built this house and moved. And we've been here for 40 years.
Wow, it's a beautiful home. And do you have any family members in Bethlehem?
Any family members?
Yes, anyone left overseas?
They all died before I went. The last visit for me over there was after 24 years. I couldn't go before. After 24 years, I went there. By that time, I didn't have no one left.
Wow. And no. you and Amma went together?
No.
You went separately?
Yes. I took Christy with me, and Ellen went with me. We had to go on turns, you know. Kamel and Musa first, then Maha and Eva, because we had the
family business.
Grocery store, the business, we couldn't leave it.
Yes.
And then in 84, Christy and myself, we went. No one from my family. Oh, one aunt was living there, And we stayed with her, we visited with her and all that. And we went another time with my husband, him and myself, after we sold the store, the business. And some of my family were living in Cyprus. So we went to Cyprus for a visited with the family, and that was the last time I've seen them.
Wow. So today, is Amo still with us?
No.
How long were you and Amo together? How long were you married?
58 years.
Oh, that's wonderful. What a beautiful life. So you have 4 children. How many grandchildren and great-grandchildren? I think everybody wants to know this.
I have 15 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren.
Wonderful. You have been blessed.
I'm very lucky.
You are. Now, do you stay in touch with people in Bethlehem and in the surrounding areas in Ramallah?
In Bethlehem, there isn't anyone that I had a friend. I visited her. Every time I go, 2 friends, as a matter of fact. One of them passed away, and one of them is still there. We call each other. We talk to each other every once in a while.
Sure.
And the same thing with Ramallah. We go, after we sold the business, we started going every year and a half. We go visit with the family and come back.
And so going back, what was it like? Did you see a different view? Very
different altogether.
How different?
The first time, it killed me. It really killed me. That's in '84.
Because it had been 24 years since you had been. So
24 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
I've
it's
been
a
going for 24 years.
different world there.
Yes. You'll be walking in the streets and the soldiers around you pointing the guns. You know how they hold the gun under their arm and pointing it at you. And every time I see it, it killed me. And seeing my country the way it is, and not being able to say this is my country, even, that bothered me a lot. And I couldn't wait to leave, really. So I couldn't see all these places run by Jews.
What do you think is happening now? How do you feel? What are your thoughts about what's happening in Palestine and Bethlehem and the whole area?
It's a shame what's happening now, especially moving the capital moving the embassy to Jerusalem. That make them for sure know that they're supported by America, which they have been supported all their life by America, that they have the right to stay there and have the country to themselves. And that's how they are.
How do you educate people about what's going on overseas?
I tell them everything. Everything in details. One time I was translating at Shan's hospital, and it was full. The lobby was full. It was about the war in Iraq, and on the news, and they were talking about it, and against the Arabs and stuff. I stood, and the people there, they were saying, these Arabs, they're savages. They are this. They are this. I stood up. I said, listen here, people. I am a Palestinian. I am a Palestinian. I am from Palestine. Do I look like a terrorist to you? Look at me. Look at my face. Do I look like a terrorist? No, ma'am. No, ma'am, you don't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I said, you ought to be sorry. You don't judge people just like that. And I started telling them what happened to Palestine, what happened to my country. We were driven away 3 times from our country, from our homes, and this and that, until the receptionist came out. She said, keep it quiet, keep it quiet. I just want somebody to say something, and I open up. I cannot. Kamel used to tell me all the time, Nuhad, you're going to end up in jail. You're going to end up. I said, for Palestine, I'll end up in jail.
Has that happened yet?
No.
I didn't think so.
And inshallah it will.
Exactly. So do you think you'll ever see peace in the Middle East?
I pray for that, but I never think it will happen. I pray for it. I pray for it day and night.
I'm sure.
I want to see peace. You know what I used to do with my uncles? They were very active in the what happened to our country.
In the movement.
And they used to meet like they were with the commanders,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And they go on the roof of our house. It has a big fence that high, nobody can see you. You sit there, and they come, all the volunteers, they come and they meet on our roof.
Yes.
I stick my nose, I have to stick my nose, everything. When there is politics, I am there.
Mm-hmm.
So I go and sit next to my uncle, and he said, go down. I said, no, I want to hear everything. Go down, Ammo. I said, Ammo, I want to hear. I want to hear. I want to hear what's happening to my country, Ammo. I want to hear. And I start crying. He says, okay, Ammo, sit here. I sit, I listen to them, listen to their plan. They go one time, they pulled a plane from that settlement not far from us. And he taught me how to shoot the sting gun. I fell down the first time because it's too heavy, and when I shoot it, it pushed me back.
Sure.
Yeah, but I stay awake until I see him come. I know he is safe. Everybody is safe. Everybody is home. He had one time bombs, and the Jordanian army were looking for in all the houses, searching if there is any weapons, because as Palestinians we were not allowed to carry weapons ever since we were ruled by the British. No weapons whatsoever. If they catch anybody with a weapon, they'll put him in jail, they torture him, they kill him. So our neighbor went to the well to get some water. When she did, in the basket, in the barrel, came a bunch of bombs. My uncle had put them here, and she started screaming, Emil, hurry up. He came, what's wrong? She said, there is bombs, call the army, call. He said, don't worry, I'll take care of it, they're no good. He didn't want her to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
He took them and took care of them.
Do you want to share any other thoughts before we complete our interview with you? You have such rich stories.
I can't. I love to. Don't. You started me. You started me. If you didn't, I'll be answering all your
You're
questions.
welcome to share any other stories before we wrap up our interview with you.
Well, I'm hoping and praying to God that one day we'll have peace in our country, and all of us, all nations, will live in peace,
Amen.
whether Christian, Muslim, or Jews.
It's a beautiful prayer.
That's all I pray for.
As we all should.
That's it.
As we all should. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You have a beautiful, rich story and a beautiful, rich life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, honey.
All right.
Thank you.